Right, well this is Foster Street in Perth. That's Wilson Street West up that way. That heads towards Highway 7. It's Foster Street. Cold Felt is down there. The river, the park. Alright. See the beautiful old stone buildings. Curious mind. Spark for the curious mind. It's a curiosity shop, I guess. All right. All right. The Sky Dragon, because every town has to have a Chinese restaurant. Burns Jewelers. What does this say now? Oh, Amethyst Aesthetic Center. Yeah. It's a real estate place. I remember that place there used to be a restaurant where you'd get hamburgers and fish and pizza and stuff, chips and whatnot. There was an old Greek fella that owned it, and I was in there one time waiting to pick up an order, and he was in the back there making a pizza, and the old Greek fella was, and as he was making the pizza, he's kneading the dough. And what did he do? He put his finger in his nose, and then he went back to kneading the dough. And there was an outlaw biker sitting in there, and that was his pizza that this guy was making. And he saw him do that, and he went over and he reached through the window, and he grabbed him by his hands, and he said, "You throw that dough away, and you start on a new pizza." And he said, "I'm going to watch you, and if your effing finger goes into your nose at any time when you're making that pizza, I'm going to come in there and I'm going to break all your fingers." And the poor old Greek guy just shook like a crazy person. He was so scared, eh? And that put a stop to that anyway. So he made him another pizza. Now this here is a restaurant. It's still a restaurant, Bistro Italiano. They have really good Italian food here. But this building did belong to my great-grandfather on my mother's side, basically to my mother's father. And at that time it was called the Rex Cafe, back in the 1940s. Yeah. And of course, in honor of the 1940s, I'm wearing my fedora. If you'd seen me around here about 25, 30 years ago, I would have been driving a 1947 Dodge car. So I really was like something out of the 40s. There's a sunflower. Okay, here we go now. This store was Shaw's of Perth. It's now closed up. Really old department store. And next door to that is the Perth Museum, the Roderick Matheson House, home of Perth's famous flaky pastries, Takeaway Bistro. There's a lot of businesses here that I don't know about. The museum, I used to work in the museum when I was young. Oh, what's this now? Oh, okay. So somebody's got to get themselves a building permit. That's what this says. Okay. somebody's doing work in there without a permit. Anyway, well, and of course they got the LGBTQ flag, so I can't get away from that. Anyway, I used to work in there back in the 1980s in the Perth Museum, and at that time, probably still to this day, it was haunted. It was actually haunted, and people may laugh at me for saying that, but if you had been there and seen some of the things and experienced some of the things I saw and experienced, you would know that it definitely is haunted. Neat old antique store. Beautiful. Little TV. 1950s. It's really neat. What's this called there? Colonel Mustard's Emporium. I like that. Yeah. Alrighty. I'll go this way. Yeah. Boy. Okay. Oh. Crown Integrity Insurance, Wealth, Real Estate, Mortgages. Okay. Well, this store actually used to be a store that was run by a friend of mine. I just want to shade my eyes here so I can make a video, so I can show my friend what became of his store. Yeah. This is for my friend Terry. Real good old friend of mine. I'll send him this so that he can see what became of his store. They put a railing up there. I see that wasn't there before. He used to sell vacuum cleaners out of this place and do vacuum cleaner repairs and whatnot. Anyway, there it is. Yeah. All right. 38 Gore Street East. That was VacuSave Industries, is what it was. I spent many an hour in here with Terry, had some good conversations with him. If I can get the shade my, well, I can't really shade my hands adequately enough to show, but anyway, I got a good shot for the door. All right, let's keep moving. Oh, Flint and Honey. This used to be the Bank of Commerce. I remember that when I was young. In fact, the deposit things are still here. You can see there, those are the old, for dropping off your, yeah. There used to be a couple of pay telephones there, but they're gone now. This is the Royal Bank building. This is the building that I lived in. In fact, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I think. Yeah. From there back, that was my apartment. That's how big it was. I had almost the whole top floor. Huge apartment. When I moved in here in 1988, the rent was $260 a month. Wouldn't be that anymore, I'm sure, but that's what it was when I lived there. Oh, it's a water fountain. Look, they even have a little water fountain for your dog. That's kind of neat. And you can see it's like a bowl. It'll fill up. Okay, oh, this must be to fill your water bottle. Yeah, oh, that's kind of neat. Yeah. That down there is the new library. Across here. There's another one of those flags. All right, here we go. Can't get away from those. Okay, now, yeah. Okay, now down here is kind of an interesting thing. This little thing here beside the bank building is called the Little Tay. It's like an offshoot of the Tay River. This is the Little Tay River, and there's Cold's mansion there. Again, the old felt mill owner's mansion. That was, for the most part, when I lived above the bank here, that was actually our landlord's house. A fellow by the name of Glenn Crane had bought that, and it was his house. Yeah, there we go. Anyway, now this here is interesting. This building right here, I'll go back this way a bit here. This right here was the legal office of Radenhurst, and Radenhurst was the uncle, I forget his first name, but the last name was Radenhurst, and he was the uncle of Robert Lyon, who was the victim in the last fatal duel, which was fought in Perth, Ontario, here, right in this town. In fact, this is his sign. It's almost all gone now, but you can still kind of see it a little bit. When I was young, it was a lot more visible, but it's pretty much disappeared now. But yeah, that was the sign that said Radenhurst and whatever, you know, I forget now. There's a couple of names on it. But anyway, in fact, Robert Lyon worked in this office with his uncle, because he was also a lawyer just starting out, and he lived with his uncle too. It was his uncle's house where he passed away after the duel. They actually put him on a shutter from a house, and they, here you go, closed but still awesome. Okay, what is this now? By the Tay, Treasure Lane. Closed but still awesome. There you go. Well, that's good. This used to be a shop where you could buy hobby supplies. It was called Hobby Town when I was young. And the fellow who owned it was a good guy, but he was also kind of standoffish, and he was a no-nonsense type. And he used to have a sign. The police station used to be up at the town hall, and he had a sign there that said, "No shoplifting, the police station is close." I remember that. But I guess he did have problems sometimes with kids coming in and stealing odds and ends, you know. Well, give thanks, I guess, for there's a big owl. That'd be for Thanksgiving, which is coming up soon. Sooner than we'd like to believe it is. Anyway, we're now coming back around. There's the library again. The park is back over this way. Yeah, town hall. It looks like the old, the former post office is for sale again. That actually was also, when I lived above the Royal Bank, that was my landlord's office. That was Glenn Crane owned that building. It was his son Bentley that we used to have to deal with. Bentley wasn't easy to deal with anyway, but that's a whole other story. Yes, it says Crane Building. There. Crane Building. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Up we go. Maximilian's. Maximilian's is an old Perth institution. Maximilian's is a great restaurant for Wiener Schnitzel. If you like Wiener Schnitzel, Maximilian's is the place you want to go. Anyway, I think the bakery's closed now. Looks like it is. Yeah, basic needs. Funny thing is, the guy who owns that, I know his family. It's probably the guy who's walking around in there now. Of course, he's a grown man now. But the last time I saw him, he was a newborn baby. I haven't seen that man since he was I never seen him as an adult or even as a kid. I only ever saw him as a newborn baby. Anyway, let me get in my truck and we'll head away from here. Good. No parking tickets, that's good. That was another reason to come now. It's usually pretty safe if you're not going to get parking tickets. Silk Road carpets. Okay. First, let's kill all the lawyers. Well, there you go. All right. We'll talk to you later.